I have a dream that Ugandans, East Africans, Africans, the world over, those who are trampled on, those who are voiceless, those who have no defense, those who have no hope, one day they will be free. I said they will be what? They will be free, and everyone will enjoy what it means to have a dignified life.
Excellencies Alphons Heneke, Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to Uganda, Mr. Hassan Shireshek, Chairperson of Pan-Africa Human Rights Defenders Network and Executive Director of Eastern Horn, our guest of honor, Mr. Livingstone Sewanyana, Executive Director of Foundation for Human Rights Initiative, Madam Rowena Kagaba, representative of Madam Margaret Sekaggya, UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights Defenders, Ms Gerstenberg, representative of the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Madam Sheila Mwanga, Vice Chair of the International Federation of Human Rights and Deputy Director of FHRI, Madam Memory Bandera, Director of Programs and Administration of Eastern Horn of Africa Human Rights Defender Project, representatives of the press, dear colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocol duly observed, good afternoon. Thank you. Welcome to this ceremony, to the African Human Rights Defenders Award, honoring today the valuable work of our guest of honor, Livingstone Sewanyana in Uganda and in Eastern Horn of Africa. Yeah. My name is Joseph Bikanda. I work for the Secretariat of Pan-Africa Human Rights Defenders as coordinator. I will act here in my capacity as your master of ceremony for the circumstance. Briefly, we will introduce, first of all, we'll screen the video for all the winners in Africa. But first of all, let me highlight that the first recipient for this award is from, and we had 5 winners in the 5 parts of Africa: North Africa, Southern Africa, Central Africa, West Africa, and Eastern Horn of Africa.
If we cannot respect the hearts of these people, and this is not the country in which I was born, and it is certainly not the country that I want to die in.
Every single one of us has been a witness to the gross abuse and denial of human rights. Some of us here today have been victims of human rights violation from the people who have the mandate to protect and promote our rights. However, there are some individuals who will stand out from the crowd and dedicate their personal and professional lives to the protection of these rights. Such individuals live on the edge in constant fear of losing their lives, as some of their colleagues have consequently paid the ultimate price, life. Regardless of such threats and fear, these individuals continue with the fight, living one day at a time. One such individual is Livingstone Sewanyana. In December 1991, Livingstone, who is now the Executive Director of the Foundation for Human Rights Initiative, started a journey to promote the human rights gospel as a human rights activist. Leaving Makerere University as a young law graduate, Livingstone started his activism from a small room in his house, which was his first office. For over 20 years, Livingstone has dedicated his life to educating the people of his country on their rights. He has engaged with both civil and political leaders as an ordinary person with an extraordinary vision, a significant critical mass of people who know their rights and endeavor to protect them. Nelson Mandela once said, "To be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects the freedom of others." This is the creed upon which Livingstone draws his vision and mission to make a significant contribution to humanity by promoting and lobbying for the God-given freedoms upon which many trample as they pursue their own selfish interests. On the streets, in the villages and rural communities, on TV or radio, in conference halls around the world, in the Parliament of Uganda, in courthouses, and even in State House, Livingstone is a true human rights icon of the nation. Livingstone shuns a culture where the rights of individuals are seen to be granted by a few individuals who temporarily hold state power. That is why, amidst threats and fear, he continues day by day to fight for the rights of others, even if he has to pay the ultimate price. President Barack Obama once said, "A change is brought about because ordinary people do extraordinary things." One such ordinary person is Livingstone Sewanyana.
Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I would like now to call upon Hassan Shire, Chairperson of Pan-Africa Human Rights Defenders Network, to officially open the proceedings.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Thank you for responding to this very surprise. Livingstone still thinks you have a meeting somewhere. and by turning in a number and in a good color. I thank also Excellence Ambassador Heneke for also honoring that. And we all kept it a secret up to the last minute. In fact, only when Joseph announced that, Livingstone said that, what's this? Yeah. So I think we have kept our word. Livingstone, I'm glad to have you here. 8 months ago, ladies and gentlemen, I joined Joseph to observe all the protocols very respectfully to make a little bit of time move forward. 8 months ago, we gathered here together at this same venue to celebrate the launch of the Pan-African program to build and consolidate protection mechanism for human rights defenders across the continent. On that day, we brought together our partners and fellow activists from South Africa, Cameroon, Togo, and Egypt, as well as diplomatic representatives of fellow African countries and our friends in the European Union. And one diplomat remarked, it was the first time senior African diplomats, ambassadors, and the European Union meeting in the same venue for the protection of human rights defenders. That program, generously funded by the European Instrument for Democracy and Human Rights, as well as Akiba Uhaki Foundation and the National Endowment for Democracy, built on existing infrastructure for emergency protection, advocacy, and capacity building, which is in place for human rights defenders in Africa. This infrastructure has been put in place over the last decade and a half. I don't want to go back to the history of Johannesburg and then Joburg plus 10. Most of you have been hearing that a long time. But the situation of human rights defenders and effectiveness of their struggle will not be improved by the civil society efforts and reactive measures alone. The idea of human rights defender itself must be promoted with decision makers and the public at large. People should see and identify with those brave individuals who see injustice and take action to end it. On October 22, 2013, only barely last week, we gathered in Banjul the Gambia, and that's unfortunately the human rights capital of Africa. Following the fruitful deliberation of the NGO Forum, in which human rights defenders from nearly all African countries came together and presented their vision for a better African future. Following the opening of the session of the 54th ordinary session of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, we announced the winners of the African Human Rights Defenders Award. Following careful deliberation, as a panel of judges consisting of myself, the Special Rapporteur on Human Rights Defenders from the UN, Madam Margaret Sekaggya, and the Special Rapporteur on Human Rights Defenders in Africa, Madam Reni Alphini-Gansau, we awarded the 2013 award to the people you have listed here. But one such person who really brightened the overall awardees of the human rights is present here. That field, and I'm so proud to announce that Mr. Livingstone Sewanyana was the winner of the East African Human Rights Defenders Award, selected for his long and dedicated service to human rights activism, his fight against the death penalty in the East Africa and in the continent at large, and his tireless defense of the common man and woman throughout the continent. If I narrate my relationship with Livingstone, which starting in 1998, during the celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Many of you, either you were children or you were at school. I will take the whole afternoon. But together we moved throughout the world. In 2000, in Sao Paulo, in different parts of the world. And finally, when I've been made homeless because of what I'm doing, Livingstone hosted me and gave me a home here to continue one day for the dream I had to do Pan-African human rights work. I really sincerely thank you very much for doing that. We are here today to honor the Livingstone, your accomplishment, and your spirit. You are a true Pan-African human rights defender, and I would like to invite some colleagues to share their remarks before we give you the opportunity to share your own words at this surprise celebration.
Ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I'm really here as a mouthpiece for Margaret. She couldn't make it, but she sends her apologies. I'm going to read her remarks verbatim. To be a human rights defender is to make a fundamental sacrifice. It means to put your life, your safety, and even the safety of the ones you are closest to on the line for a purpose that is possibly bigger than yourself and bigger than your immediate circumstances. Most defenders at the local, national, regional, and international levels desire to witness an environment in which all human beings can live respectful and dignified lives. Because of the highly sensitive nature of the work that they do and the strong forces that they usually have to contend with, those that continue to toe the line of human rights must be highly commended, and those that might waver must be encouraged. Because from my own experience and from what I have witnessed, this is a very worthy cause. Since the beginning of my mandate, I've had an opportunity to travel all over the globe and meet defenders who are working in the most restrictive environments and yet continue to soldier on. I have seen defenders collaborate through networks to address the ever-evolving nature of human rights violations, and have seen them succeed through many struggles. I therefore must acknowledge the work of the Pan-African Human Rights Defenders Network that has been a model network in bringing forth the challenges that human rights defenders in the region face, and also jointly developing strategies to combat challenges. The network has also been a platform for unity and an opportunity through which defenders can impact their localities. This awards ceremony, being the first of its kind for the network, is a very innovative way of encouraging defenders and showing solidarity for their cause, and I commend the network still again for initiating it. Last but not least, I would like to specially commend Mr. Sewanyana, who is both a friend and colleague, for his very noted work, which is evident from the amount of recognition he has received nationally, regionally and internationally. Your contribution to the improvement of human rights in Uganda has been felt, and we hope that this culture will continue to grow as human rights defenders have you in their backyard to emulate. Thank you all.
Thank you to Madam Sekaggya for her kind words. I would like now to call upon Madam Gerstenberg to come and present her remarks.
Dear Livingstone friend, Livingstone colleague, Livingstone, the Ambassador, Hassan, all present colleagues, friends, human rights defenders, as we all are here in this a small place, but very warm place. I don't have formal remarks, but I thought about what I can say. And I wish to say that I know Livingstone, and I know the Eastern African Human Rights Defender Network for the 5 years I'm here. And we have worked with both networks, with Livingstone and with the network, in many, many occasions. We have cooperated in trying to give more capacity building to human rights defenders, and we also have looked at protection issues. Livingstone is one of the prominent human rights defenders that Uganda has, but I wish to say there are many of them, and I think that's a result of the work that the prominent human rights defenders have done. Now that many, as they are now in the country. Uganda has a vivid civil society, many human rights defenders, very committed. Today morning I was at UNET and could talk to the organizations under the Human Rights Network, and you can't imagine how emotional it is to see the good work they are doing. So I think it's my second human rights defender event today, and I feel very honored to deliver these words on behalf of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights here in Uganda, and I think of the Office of the High Commissioner globally. I would like to say that I especially appreciate, as a person and also as the representative of this office, the quality professional work, the solid, balanced positions that we get from Livingstone as a researcher, as an academician, as a human rights defender. I think you can't separate these three categories. I think he's able to give his points of view to even difficult counterparts, to the government, to the parliament, to other persons. They're not so convinced, but I think the arguments he can give are convincing. And I think that is also a quality of a human rights defender, to be able to reach out to others and to make a point and to get others on board, to create alliances, to create networks, to be able to coordinate, but also to be honest and to be sometimes very critical, but constructively critical, and saying the things like they are. Human rights defenders, they have big courage to say the things and not feeling fear. Sometimes I would say they are too fearless, because also the protection of the lives, of the security of human rights defenders is something that is valid. We don't need that. I think we should give everything to protect the human rights defender communities, especially the most vulnerable individuals among them. They are working in rural environments, are not known, and sometimes what happened to them will not be at any newspaper head title, but they are there. And regardless, they are not in the public. No street will be named after them. They are doing their work. And I said today morning to UNET, a human rights defender you are your whole life. Because as Nelson Mandela said, you climb one hill and then you see so many other hills. So when you have conquered a victory, then you see it was just a part of the victory. Because even we are thinking We have so much achieved in the human rights environment. We have so much done. There are so many victories already. But there are so many more victories to get. So many more tasks to do, so many more steps to go, and so many more risks to take. So I think once the commitment is there, once we are looking at human rights, we get passionate because it's about the people. Thank you so much. I wish you a good day.
Thank you, Madam Gerstenberg. Now, Chairperson, I would like to hand over the microphone to you to introduce to us the ambassador.
Thanks. It's a great privilege for me to introduce my friend, now I can call, Ambassador Heneke, who actually, when we announced the award, Banjul, quickly tweeted to all his diplomatic friends and Twitter friends about the ceremony, making one more highlight of this important recognition we have given to Livingstone Sewanyana, who really deserves that. Ambassador Heneke is, through his government of Her Majesty, he represented well to the defenders wherever we need him and whenever we call him. Voice, support, both diplomatic support as well as financial support. And through his mission, we have a friend. We have been really honored to be in our midst, and I really come to you as one forerunner for human rights protection in this continent. You are most welcome. Thank you.
Hassan, Livingstone, dear friends, all protocol observed. I must say that I'm very honored to be invited to be present at this gathering this afternoon, at this surprise gathering, a gathering that is organized in order to honor the good work that Livingstone is doing. I must declare that the Netherlands is very much committed to work together with the human rights defenders to further their agenda. And I'm very privileged to be friends and partners of my good, of Hassan and Livingstone here in Uganda, many others here in Uganda. And I promise you that the Netherlands will continue to be a firm partner, not only verbally, but also when we can show our commitment, when we can show our solidarity. We never refuse to be present. And also, whenever possible, naturally, some financial assistance whenever it's needed, we try to mobilize as well. I'm also very proud. I make it very short because I don't want you to get wet, and I don't want to get wet myself. But it's also a very great honor for me to Livingstone who has received this award. Livingstone is also an alumni of a Dutch institute, in the Institute of Social Studies at The Hague. It's a world-famous institute, and I'm so also in that capacity I'm very proud that that there is somebody, Ugandan, that studied also in the Netherlands, who is really furthering an agenda that deserves a lot of admiration and a lot of support. So once more, I would like to thank you very much for honoring Livingstone this afternoon. I'm very happy that I have been invited to be part of this small gathering. So thank you very much, and I hope that you have a very pleasant afternoon. Thank you.
May I now invite Madam, every successful man like Livingstone, there should be a person, I will never say, not behind now these days, it's beside him, standing shoulder to shoulder. So may I invite also Madam Zara Sewanyana to join us in the standing table here. And recall the award which has been handed over to Sheila to bring us back to here, so that the rightful person will be given today. Thank you also for coming to Banjul. And it's a shield for Africa, particularly those who are very voiceless, and voice to tell the truth to those who have a power. And in doing so, he has been traveling, working hard, every village, in every corner of the continent, to make a voice for those people. Please, Madam Dara, join us. And can you bring certificate? And okay, the boys also could join us. I'm sorry to make that, I was only informed by the yeah, the ambassador.
Thank you very much, Jason. I have the honor, the privilege to formally hand over to Livingstone the award, African Human Rights Award, presented to Livingstone Sewanyana. Congratulations, and may I just present it like this so that we are on the picture.
Excellency, the Dutch ambassador, the chairperson of the Eastern Horn of Africa, my good friend Hassan Shah, the UN Office, Human Rights, my very good friend Birgit, the representative Rowena of Ms Margaret Sekaggya, the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights Defenders, and my very, very good friends whom I see here. You know, the thing is an ambush. For me, I'm completely unaware of this event. In fact, I'd been meant to understand that I was going to have a meeting with a delegation from the European Union. So I ran from wherever I was to meet them because they kept on saying, you must be on time. So really, this is a surprise. Even getting the award itself was a surprise. I completely had no idea. I had no idea about the nomination. I had no idea about the proceedings. And certainly, it is all a surprise. I was holed up in the University of Cape Town where I'm doing my PhD program, and I never knew that the world was moving in a different direction. So, Excellency, I'm very honored by your presence here, by your kind remarks, and I think the first thing I need to say, since I wasn't there at the award ceremony, is to say that I humbly accept the award. Because I should have accepted it. Otherwise, no, there wouldn't be a contractual relationship. I humbly accept the award. Of course, this recognition for me is a recognition of all of us. It's a recognition of all those who find themselves in the trenches. Because all of us, in one way or the other, we are trying to defend those people who are defenseless. My human rights work started at the university. I became a human rights activist way back at the university as a student leader. My activism began at Makerere University. But perhaps I would not have pursued it further. I am very grateful today, and I owe all this to one person, by the way, who is dead. The person in the names of Lance Seramuwanga, the first human rights defender in Uganda. He was an exile in Sweden. At the time Okello Lutwa took over power, he came here and established the Uganda human rights activists. I was a student leader. He invited me, I joined him. We worked together until, unfortunately, on 13th of March, and I remember the date, 1987, he was served with a detention order and taken to Ruzira. The Uganda human rights activist was left without a person, without somebody to inspire. And we had a daunting task. I was a student, and I needed to defend him. At that time, we had one Henry Kayondo, to whom I went, and I told him what had befallen the first human rights defender in this country. We moved to Luzira, and for 13 months, we toured Luzira as if it was our home. Amnesty International came in, and again, I had to fly over so many countries, to many countries, in order to ensure that Lansesera Mwanga is declared a prisoner of conscience. Subsequently, he was declared a prisoner of conscience by Amnesty International, and we started a campaign all over the world to have him freed. When he was released, we had to secure his exit, and he left, and he died in Stockholm, and was buried there. I remember vividly that struggle. But since then, the question I have had always in my mind is, what is the purpose of our existence? All of us. We are lawyers, we are accountants, we are doctors, but what's the purpose of our existence? I think the purpose of our existence is to serve humankind in every way, in every possible way, in every little way. For me, that's my belief. And my role model is Martin Luther King Jr. And for those who have seen me speak, I speak and I'm inspired by him. Because I have always believed that there is a dream. And you have a dream, and that dream is to set everyone free. Every person, whether you are a woman, whether you are a man, whether you are a prisoner, whether you are an orphan, whatever your category, you must be free. Our mission should be to ensure that every person is free. Everyone has a potential to realize something for himself or herself. But for you to ensure that people gain that freedom, you must pay a price. We have to make sacrifices, whether as media personnel, as doctors, as teachers, as diplomats, whatever category, you will have to pay a price. There is nothing that can be achieved without paying a price. Many of my friends, especially on the board, they know sometimes what we go through. And for me, I've always tried to show that I'm not a coward. If you are going to overcome injustice, there is also another thing. You will not only sacrifice yourself, but you will also have to deal with fear. Many Ugandans fear a lot, and I understand why they fear. I understand because we have had a turbulent history. But I want to tell you, we are not going to get justice on a silver platter. Justice will have to be fought for. We must ensure that there is justice for everybody. We have been to the prisons and we have told the prisoners that even if you offended society, you have rights. We have had the ordinary people wherever they were, Mbarara, wherever, and we have told them as women, you deserve respect. We have told the children that the children must also be respected. We have said even the doctors and the teachers deserve a decent life. This is the message all of us must give, and we must translate human rights into a language people understand. Sometimes the challenge we have, Your Excellency, is to make human rights, democracy, respect for rule of law and accountability make sense to the ordinary people. Because many times they do not understand what it is all about. They think it is elitist, they think it is for those people who know what it means, but apparently we need to demonstrate this, because we cannot democratize unless the ordinary people out there who are trampled upon join the struggle. I am very glad that the media is here. The media, by the way, we need also one of these days to create an award for the media. The media in this country, we need to be very proud of it. They really have struggled. Mr. Kamara, you people, the media, I really salute you. You have really done, even when they have had crackdown on you, you know, all the suffering you have gone through, you have stood there. But there are people who still need to be liberated. The churches, they need to be liberated. All of us go to church. But these people do not stand up against transgressions. We need to liberate those people. We need to liberate the farmers. We need to liberate the trade unions. The trade unions are supposed to be a very strong pillar of democracy in any country. But this country, the trade union movement is still weak. It needs to be strengthened. Now, my brothers and sisters who have joined the human rights movement, or who feel something for other people, the issue is, are you ready to sacrifice? Are you ready to face fear? Even when we have issues with the state, we need also to acknowledge the role that state plays. Because without them, we cannot do this. The state also needs to be recognized. They can have their weaknesses. We may not like them for corruption. We may not like them for some of those things you all know. But the point is, if they don't give you an environment, you definitely will find yourself a refugee and you cannot help the people. So we need also to credit them. We want to thank God, we want to thank government, we want to thank all of those who have been there. And above it all, I want to thank everyone who has made this a reality. And I want to thank my family because they have been there. Whenever I haven't been there, when they missed a husband or missed a father, they were there waiting, hopefully, to see me back. And I say, I have a dream that Ugandans, East Africans, Africans, the world over, those who are trampled on, those who are voiceless, those who have no defense, those who have no hope, one day they will be free. I said they will be what? They will be free. And everyone will enjoy what it means to have a dignified life. I thank you.
Thank you very much. That was really a journey itself, which the activists were honoring here. My colleague Livingstone have traveled on, but the story is not ending there. But one thing I want to, the significance of the day, when you hear those thunderstorms and the rain, it signifies in Africa something. Who knows that? Blessing. Since mostly we are in a dry situations, when you see a rain, it means it's blessing. So the day has been blessed. That we are recognizing the tremendous and the value of the work of one of among us, Livingstone Sewanyana, who has been really on the forefront of human rights struggle in Africa. I just want to also thank you, all of you, by responding very diplomatically, let me put it that way, and keeping Livingstone and his family in the dark. I don't know what Sheila may have told the madam. Why she's here?
She knew why she was here. Maybe she would not tell you.
Okay. Very, very excellent. So we all kept that. This was purposefully, we never put a chairs here. We are not shortage of ones. But we want the day to be activist day, so that all of us stand up for our rights. And with that note, I will give Joseph Bikande, our able coordinator, and I think I want to especially salute really my team, and particularly the Pan-African team and the HRD team. And Memory should have been standing with me actually here, but she's somewhere. Where's Memory now? Yeah. Memory, yes. Memory, our director of programs. You might find me in Twitter, in Facebook, Global Totin, moving one capital to another. Some of you may wonder, when Hassan does his work, and you have never, you see a HRD never miss anywhere and any place. So we are all there. Thanks to the team, the backbone of my team, and all of you. I really want to salute you, all of you. I don't want to name you, all of you, but you are all here, and you have been supporting us throughout this. I thank you. Joseph.